Welcome, guys, again to a new episode. Now, over the past few years, there has been an increase in a particular kind of infection, and this infection affects many people. And most of the people we know people who are suffering from this H.Pylori infection. Now, today we purposefully decided to have this episode to actually try and spread the information on how H.Pylori, what H.Pylori is, how it causes H.Pylori, and how can we use natural means to reverse H.Pylori. Now, to start off, we need to understand what H.Pylori is. How does this infection come about? And so Anne can be introduce us to this topic.
Hi once again, guys. Thank you for joining us today. And we have a very interesting topic on H.Pylori, just like what Toffin has just told us. And basically, H.Pylori is a bacteria. And most of the time, you get the infection from what you eat. The food, it's more like a food handling kind of infection that you get from maybe if you've not washed your vegetables well, your fruits, and or maybe there's some unhygienic environment around you. And sometimes we find ourselves, not that we are not hygienic, it's just situations that make us. You can also get infected through other people, maybe from breath, from saliva, or such kind of a thing, if the other person has too much of the H.Pylori. So basically, the causes are just things that the environment that we are in.
Now that we know what H.Pylori is and how the infection comes about, how can you tell that you actually need to actually test whether you have H.Pylori? And so William will introduce us to actually what are the symptoms. How can you tell that a person has H.Pylori infection?
Okay, thank you so much. In fact, it is a very good discussion and helpful because the more you know of something, the better. That reminds me of COVID-19 because, in fact, we protected ourselves with information which was all over. In fact, each and everyone was their own doctor because of the information, social distancing, and so on, which helped us at that time. Using that concept, we can help ourselves or protect ourselves against H.Pylori. First and foremost, before I embark on that particular question, I will give out its adaptive behaviors. H.Pylori is a bacteria, as it has been said, and a bacteria is a living thing. It resides in the stomach. Another thing about H.Pylori is that it eats the mucus of the stomach lining. That is point number 2. Number 3, it tries to colonize. In fact, its aim is to colonize the stomach lining. Colonizing means taking charge of the stomach lining. In pursuit of colonizing the stomach lining, what it does is that it produces an enzyme called urease, which converts urea into ammonia and bicarbonate to bring forth a favorable pH around itself, which is more alkaline, other than the harsh acidic environment of the stomach.
And some of the symptoms that you will be depicted when you have high number of count in this of H.Pylori bacteria in the stomach, you may feel like you don't want to eat, have a low appetite. You'll also have, you'll feel like vomiting. When you eat, it's a reflux. and now the reflux becomes severe, and now whenever you eat, the food wants to come back to your mouth. So it brings about a nausea, vomiting kind of a feeling. At the same time, it affects your digestive system because it destabilizes the hormonal balance in the stomach, because it has already affected the microbial composition of your gut system. So you'll have indigestive issues, and this now brings about lack of ingestion of nutrients in your body, and that brings about also losing of weight unintentionally. You lose a lot of weight, and then adding to the fact that you don't want to eat, you lose more weight. At the same time, you have the kind of symptoms. So it is also good to note that these symptoms may also be the symptoms of ulcers or gastritis, because it includes also bloating. And this doesn't mean that if you have all these things, you have H. pylori, or if you have one of them, you ignore the others and assume you do not have. So it is important for you, if you feel any of these conditions, you get a test for H. pylori.
Yeah, to add on what Anne has said, around the stomach there is a mucus which protects the stomach lining. And having this bacteria, the bacteria eats the mucus of the stomach lining, and that process it exposes the stomach lining to the stomach acid, which starts corroding, bringing forth wounds and sores.
Wow, it seems like we are back to biology class. Yeah, so we as Dress for Wellness, what we advocate for are natural means of reversing conditions or disorders or diseases. And so we address the root cause, and we coach people on how to actually bring back their health naturally. So that aside, we want to discuss now on how, what means can we use actually to reverse H. pylori? How can we bring H. pylori to normal conditions in the stomach? And we'll share some few tips or ways that you can use to reverse this condition. So Anne, maybe you can give us a few points.
Like what we have just said, we want to naturally recreate the wall. William has already explained to us what the H. pylori does to us in the stomach. So the first thing I would say is try and treat the inflammation that has already been caused. And treating the inflammation may need you to also improve the conditions of the acidity, so that now it does not, or deactivate or increase the other good bacteria in the stomach, so that now H. pylori does not take domination. He talked about colonization, and colonization is about being in control. So by increasing the other bacteria, you now take over. You're helping the stomach to take over the control. And the best way to do this is to introduce probiotics in your body. Probiotics is a way of helping you multiply the good bacteria in your stomach that help you in digestion, recreation, and also hormonal balancing. And so these probiotics, you can find them in fermented milk, and we always recommend that you may use goat or sheep or camel milk fermented, and the bacteria formed in the fermentation are very good for the stomach. We also recommend fermenting vegetables. In another episode, we will help you know how to the procedure of fermenting vegetables in your house, and this helps you add more bacteria in your stomach. So when you have now these bacteria, then now you can start treating the inflammation that William has just talked about, because you already have source in your stomach. And maybe William has some more ways of approaching H. pylori.
Okay, thank you so much. I think we are continuing well, because there is that environment which should be kept at its optimal. That is the acidic environment of the stomach, and it should always be acidic, because in fact the stomach, what happened in the stomach is the digestion of protein, which if the stomach environment is not acidic enough, then there are consequences, especially with digestion. Therefore, as it is mentioned, for that balance to occur, there should be what they call probiotics, or in simpler words, good bacteria, good viruses, good fungi. The secret is fermented food. Another thing which good bacteria does is that they report bad bacteria, because as mentioned earlier, H. pylori is a bacteria as well, but a bad bacteria. Therefore, it will be reported to the immune system that, look, there is a bad bacteria. And also, its work will be hindered by good bacteria by inhibiting its aim to colonize. There is other foods which feeds good bacteria. They are called prebiotics. Prebiotics are foods with fiber.
I would also want to add this. If by any chance you've been treating or you've been going to hospital and you're treated with antacids and you feel like they're not helping you, and add more acidic food in your diet to improve the acidity of your stomach to help in digestion.
Wow, that's quite a lot to learn today, and this actually works, and we'll actually have, even in next episodes, testimonies from other people we have coached on how actually these methods that we have talked about can help improve or reverse H. pylori infection. So that's it for today. We'll see you in the next episode.